Hey, I'm Caden, the Charming Avenger, and on my channel, I'm learning how to bake. Now, I'm not learning how to bake just by watching a YouTube tutorial or following a recipe online. I'm learning how to bake by trying to recreate one of the main heat challenges from Food Network's Spring Baking Championship. This week's challenge looked really, really cool, but as you can see, I'm not in the kitchen. This week's challenge, just to kind of keep on that topic for a second, was to create a cake that was themed after space. So it was shooting stars, meteor showers, supermoon, or my absolute favorite was the Northern Lights. It was really cool, and I've wanted to do a mirror glazed cake for so long, and this was my opportunity. However, because the United States is currently going through a little bit of a food shortage, even though they say there isn't one, I thought that it would be irresponsible of me to go out and buy ingredients just to bake. People need eggs, and they need milk, and they need butter, and I thought that it wasn't right for me to go out and take things that others need right now during this time of, well, kind of a crisis. So I thought instead of baking this week, I'd tell you why I did start baking. Man, these kids, this neighborhood, all the time. I started baking because 2 years ago I was hurt at work. It was a bad injury. I'm still out of work. It's been about 2.5-ish years now. I've had 2 surgeries. I do need a third. Hopefully that will be taking place soon, depending on how all this goes. I don't know. But about a year into my surgery recovery period, I started to go into a very, very deep depression. I had lost my ability to really provide for my family. I wasn't able to contribute much because I couldn't do things around the house like I used to do. I can't mop, I can't sweep, I can't vacuum. Things like that really hurt. So I can't do that stuff. I can't even mow my grass. My mom, who has many years on me, has to come down from her home. She has to fly down here to mow my grass, to help clean up the yard when there's a lot of sticks or branches in it, because that's stuff that I just can't do right now, and I haven't been able to do for 2 years. So my self-worth kind of started to fade away, and I started to dip into a time where I didn't necessarily want to commit suicide, but not living didn't sound so bad, right? I think they call that suicidal ideology, where you think, like, whatever, if I die, I die. But you don't want to actually, like, hurt yourself. So I started to really struggle with this. I'm a happy dude. I go out, I socialize, I have a good time with my friends. All that started to go away. I started to get angry. I started to troll online, even worse than I usually did. I started to pick fights with my friends and my family, and I did it because I knew that I was in a bad spot. So one night while I was watching, I think it was Halloween Baking Championship, it kind of clicked in my head that I needed to do something to challenge myself, to get myself out of this stuck mode. So I was gonna do something that I had never done before. I was going to bake, and I was going to teach myself how to bake by replicating one of the main heat challenges on the baking championships. So I started with the holiday baking championship, and I dove headfirst into this. I think the first challenge was to create a cookie that had like your nameplate on it, and then you had to create another cookie with a decoration on it. First cookie I did was I think it was a sugar cookie that I decorated with my name, and then the second one was a gingerbread cookie, and that was so good that my wife actually requested that I make it additionally, and we still have dough in the freezer from one time when she asked me to make it, and I only made half a batch. Anyways, besides that, it gave me something to look forward to every week. I really started to plan out what I was going to do or how I was going to do it, and I made some ground rules that I wouldn't watch YouTube videos on how to do it. I wouldn't read about how to do it. Like if it was a pie, for instance, I wouldn't watch somebody make this great pie and all these little decorations out of pie dough to go on the top of it. I was going to go into it without really knowing what I was actually getting into. I would find a recipe, mostly from the Food Network, or one of the Food Network chefs. So I use like, I've used Paula Dean, I've used Nancy Fuller, I've actually used Lorraine Pascal. I've used a couple of different recipes from different people on the Food Network, and then just from the Food Network kitchen recipes. And it's crazy because I'm doing things that I never thought I could do. I've made pie, I've made eclairs that weren't so great. I've made macaroons, which, I mean, I never thought that I'd be able to make a macaroon. And here I am making them, just sometimes because I'm bored and my wife wants them, so I make them. And it's really helped me. It's encouraged me to push myself to do things that I didn't think I could do. It's given me something to take my mind off the pain and the fact that I can't go to work every day, or I can't go walk the river walk in my beautiful city. It's given me a purpose. And I am so grateful for the Food Network and for these baking championships, because they have taken a broken person and put them back together again. And that's something that I didn't think was going to happen. I've continued to bake, and I've continued to push myself to do things that I didn't think I could do. I did the Holiday Baking Championship, and then I jumped into the Kids Baking Championship, and now I'm on to the Spring Baking Championship, which for the moment is paused. Now, I will promise you that when all of this is over, when life returns to what then will be the new normal, I will continue to bake. I'll pick it up from this week and I'll take off. I know in the summer they don't do a lot of competitions. I think they do wedding cakes, and no, I won't do that. But I'll continue to do the Spring Baking Championship, and I'll upload them just like I would if it was actually happening. Because one, it's something that I've made a promise to myself to do, to encourage me to push myself further and harder, and to give me something to look forward to every week. And two, because I've made a commitment to you. And there are people who are following me and who are watching me because they want to see what's going to happen next. They want to see me fail. They want to see me succeed. And I think it's important that I do it. I want to learn how to make a mirror glaze cake. I want to learn how to make one of those really fancy pastries where there's like cake and then filling and then this thin wafery thing on top and then some more filling. I want to learn how to make that thing. I think it's not a Napoleon. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, I want to continue to push myself, but right now I just can't. It's not right for me to go out and use resources that my neighbors need. We have enough stuff to sustain our household for 30 days, and maybe even a little bit more if we stretch some things out. But I don't want to use things that I might need that I can't get my hands on in the future. So that's it. That's why I'm not baking this week. But that's why I got into baking. I never really sat down and explained to y'all why I do this, and now you know. It's something that I needed to do to keep myself alive, and it has. It's kept me alive, it's kept me encouraged, and it's kept me motivated to make it to the next week, make it to the next day, and that's important. That's sometimes how you have to break it down. 1 second, 10 seconds, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a challenge. So while we're on the topic of pushing ourselves, during this time, it's stressful. We're all stressed. Well, the adults are stressed. The kids think it's just an extended spring break. We don't know what's coming next. We don't know if we're going to be locked down in this mandatory lockdown, or if some states will just continue to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. We don't know if one of our loved ones is going to get sick. We don't know if we're going to get sick. It's a very anxious time. It's a scary time. And it's okay to feel those emotions. It's okay to be sad that your spring break trip to Disney got canceled, or your cruise for your birthday got canceled. It's okay to have those feelings because we're human. We have those feelings. We all understand that there are some really serious things going on in our world right now. And some people think that if they show their own personal emotions, that they'll be selfish or that they'll get ridiculed. And we need to let those feelings out, because if we don't, they're just going to eat us alive. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy to keep things in. And it's something that we all need to work on. I need to work on it. I need to sit down and talk about my feelings about this whole thing. I'm terrified. I am so scared. My wife has immune compromised health issues, and if she gets this thing, I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. I don't know what. I'll be useless. I'll be helpless because I can't do anything about it. And that's a hard reality right now for me. It's hard for me to even consider that fact, but it's in the back of my head all the time. People are still traveling, people are still coming to Florida and going on their spring breaks, and the amount of social spread it's an issue. I mean, we had over 100 cases just overnight here, and it will continue to get worse before it gets better unless we take serious actions. If we take this social distancing seriously, and if we really dedicate ourselves to flattening the curve, that is the only way this will get better. Washing your hands, not touching your face, yeah, that's all great and good, but if you have it, or if you got it at the beach or at the park with your friends and you take it to your grandma or your mom or your sister who might have COPD or asthma, you might be fine, but they may not be. So we really need to sit down and we need to take this seriously. Be kind to the people around you. There are workers who are losing their jobs every single day now. Restaurant workers who work on tips are now getting nothing because the restaurant insides are closed, but you can still pick up things for delivery. The grocery store workers, those poor people, they are being worked so hard and they are underappreciated. I just went to pick up a few things that we need for the house, and there was a lady yelling at one of the store clerks about paper towels. Listen, lady, that store clerk can't just make paper towels appear. They can't pull Lysol out of the thin air. It's not their fault, and we need to remember to be kind to them because they are just doing everything that they possibly can to keep going. So that's it for this week. I've talked and I've rattled and I've kind of soapboxed a little bit, but I'm not baking. And I may not bake next week, and I may not bake the week after next. We will just see where all of this goes and what happens next. Remember to be kind to one another. We all need that right now. If you have a neighbor who needs assistance, try to offer it, but stay at a safe distance. Maybe write a sign, hold it up outside, or give them a call. Slip a letter under their doormat or something along those lines, just to reach out to them and make sure they're okay. I hope during this time that you're doing something that will enrich your soul and enrich your spirit, keep your anxiety low and your spirits high. We all need that right now. I hope each and every one of you have a safe week and a good week, and I will see you next week. You all know where to reach me if you want to chat, or if you have something on your mind that you want a total stranger to know. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm here all the time. It's kind of what I do now. I'll see you guys next week, and until then, be kind. See ya.